I do not know what I have found here. This architecture is not familiar to me, yet it speaks to me, entices me. It wants me to explore it further. I have heard voices in a foreign tongue coming from the other doors. I have no interest in finding out whom they belong to. This door interests me though. It is blocked by some sort of mechanism. It may have something to do with these statuettes that I have found. Well, they were lying around the place, so I picked them up. I will try my luck with opening this door. They don't call me Beyond the Lucky for nothing. One of the biggest changes they added in Chapter 2, Age of War, would have to be the dungeon reworks, which to be honest from a PvP perspective is kind of nice because we do tend to rerun the dungeons fairly often to get legendaries like the one that I am holding, the Axe of the Gate Guardian, which was acquired within this very dungeon. But because a bunch of other stuff has changed, I thought it would be best to make some updated guides on the various different things that have changed in the different dungeons. Starting off today with Khalil's Stronghold, Warmaker dungeon, Godbreaker dungeon, whatever you want to call it. It is actually the Warmaker dungeon, located right by the Brimstone Lake, Shattered Springs, and the obelisk. If you haven't already touched the obelisk, it's just down there. You can touch that. It's quite convenient to come here if you do happen to be rerunning it. And the rerun ability is a lot better now. They've added a lot of the legendary key boxes into actual dungeons, so bring with you a couple of spare keys because there's some bosses you can kill in here 4 keys, but there's more boxes than key ratio. I think there's about 6 or so boxes in there. Bring 7 keys just to be safe. Bring some potions, some bandages for when you're outside of battle, some buffs, whatever buffs you choose. The boxes inside the dungeons have actually been improved immensely, which is nice. I choose to wear mostly heavy whilst doing PvE stuff and a lot of PvP to be honest because I'm lazy. I can't be bothered changing and stamina's pretty good, but I digress. I have a little bit of a random build that I've been kind of going with for PvE stuff. It's not necessarily what I'd use in PvP, but it would get me by if I was attacked. I can harvest some stuff. I've also brought a bearer's backpack in case I happen to get heavy from the things I harvest and acquire in there, and some weight potions and stuff if you like, and some weight food, things like that. It will replace over your other buff that you have eaten. Get you one of those. Now you want to head in through this crack. There's a couple of skeletons out the front. You can fight them if you want. They drop some pretty decent loot now. Same with the boxes within the dungeon itself. I'll be doing a mix of God mode and not God mode because it is convenient for getting around and it makes filming content just a little bit more handy. A little bit quicker. You can get more out, you know? So because the loot boxes have changed, it is worth looking for them now and getting some of that stuff. I'm just going to loot everything and see what we end up with. I can always go into creative mode if I really have to. You won't be able to, more than most likely, so you'll have to drop some crud along the way. But we do have a fair few boxes now that are worth looting, like I said. Or at least checking out what you want. Now these guys are kind of annoying, not gonna lie, with their archeries. But as you can see, they have some pretty decent stuff in their pockets now. We'll just ignore him for a sec. Take out these guys usually first. Whoa, excuse you, sir. And they have removed things like hyper armor, so you can't avoid their attacks by just rolling now, which is good, but you can still roll to gain distance. A lot of stuff corrupts you in here, so also be prepared for that. I'm going to heal a little bit. You also do not have to fight him anymore. He no longer drops a key if you're familiar with it, the game from years ago. But he does drop this weapon, which is kind of nice and worth it. Ooh. Don't knock me out of my attack, sir. They have changed the way attacks hit also, so heavy attacks hit a little quicker and light attacks hit a little slower. So various different weapons have also kind of changed. Chapter 2. Killing him with his own axe. Whoa, don't get caught in that combo. Rolling can also kind of help you not get stun locked, and he happened to drop the axe that time. It does sunder, which is nice. You can't apply poison to it, which is a bit meh, but sunder is really nice against people wearing heavy armor, thralls, PvE stuff, because a lot of things does sunder. Some things do not poison. Skeleton sunder, they do not poison, etc. If I happened to be wearing Godbreaker pants, I would be getting a lot more stamina, which would be nice, but I decided to go with this random shit I spawned in. We are on test live currently. Some of these things may change when you're viewing this if it is on the actual update, but I doubt too much has changed. Now, they've added a few extra bosses in here too. This guy, he's not usually in here. He is actually an unnamed city guy. So you can get things like the Sword of Crom from your run now. And again, probably take out these dudes first. You can bring a thrall if you like. It can make all of this a bit easier. I personally like axes because for this type of PvE stuff, and even when you're getting ganked in PvP, because it does do such a wide area of attack, aiming isn't necessary. If you happen to have Glutton for Punishment, you can just avoid them after their attack and re-heal the last instance of damage, which can help you if you happen to not catch 2 hits in a row. Silly bugger. I like to wait until they've just stopped attacking because they're pretty stupid and they tend to stand still for a little bit. No. And they drop some treasure. I happen to get the Sword of Crom. That's pretty fucking cool. They do drop legendary weapons, even the dudes in the Unnamed City, much more commonly now, which is also kind of dope. They go from there. You can hack him up and get some feral flesh, putrid meat. Walk over through this door, gate. This guy's still the same. These guys are still the same. You can heal if you like. We got the Balius, kind of a nice one-handed sword that does corruption, and the main reason you kill them is to get this statue. If you hack them up, you can get a lot of thick leather and some demon blood. The boxes have also got kind of buffed, so there's a few lotus boxes in here, some treasure boxes, and some random item boxes. Even the ones under the stairs, like you can run in and run out early game and get that stuff and get like a little bit of a head start for some weapons. Head back on out to the middle area. Bringing a pick is handy too because you can get a bunch of black ice in this dungeon, bunch of demon blood and stuff. Bring a skinning knife also if you happen to want to do some farming. This room hasn't changed a great deal, just some skeletons about, and the boxes, of course, have got a bit of a buff. Don't you gank me in a corner, skeletons. The audacity. You can sometimes find language boxes here and scrolls for the sorcery. And then back down the middle after, well, you don't even have to loot anything. You can just run straight through, to be honest, but I want to see what we end up with. We get this guy. This room, again, hasn't changed a huge deal. It's not really till we get to the last room that's super changed. Apart from that other room did have the new boss in it. Once you've killed all these guys the first time, you do not have to kill them again if you don't want to. You just bring the key that they offer at the end, which I'll show you that in a moment once I've killed them all. If you do not know, these statues will create a key. If you put them in one at a time, you'll get a little key fragment, or you can keep them for decoration. But yeah, you essentially only have to kill them the first time unless you're grinding the weapons. So you can pretty much avoid this guy and his random little drop of a book, which doesn't stack with other stuff. It will be like a potion and it will replace your potion, which I think is super lame. Only the 2 boxes? I think so. Head back out to the middle again. Conveniently, all the doors are lit up, so if you just keep going around in a circle and going to all the different colored doors, you shouldn't go too wrong. Now we're going into the purple door. And we have a Blood Defiler, which is commonly found on Sipta and sometimes during random encounter events, is now found here. Hacking him up is going to give a bunch of random stuff, which is kind of cool. He can super mess you up, so be careful. And he does have a fair chunk of HP, but not as much as some of the other stuff. But that Sunder weapon can be kind of rough, not gonna lie, but I also have a Sunder weapon. Ooh. You don't particularly want to get multiple stacks of Sunder because it will take away chunks of your armor and your armor's resistance to damage. So you'll basically, after 4 or 5 hits, not be wearing any armor. He has dropped these both times I've killed them, so we'll see if that's an always thing. Get those in your pocket. The Eye of the Watcher will keep you a bit warm in cold stuff, so you can walk up to the volcano using this. It is also dropped by a skeleton, whoa, on the bridge of the Betrayer, just on the Southern Aqueduct just here. Now we hack him up, see what we get. So last time I got something like corrupted powder. Drop his flesh. No extra boxes in this room. You can go through the gate. He's still really easy. Barely does any damage. Does corrupt me a little bit. Got Decato's voice. Quite a nice bow. It doesn't do any armor pen unless you put a kit on it. I don't think there's any boxes in this room either. Oh, yeah, there's one over there. And just keep running through back to the central part. It's looking awfully neck-related in here. Now you're back at the middle. What you want to do is look over here for these 3. That is where we are going to place them. And you'll see you'll get a key fragment. If you don't place all of them, you'll only have 2 key fragments. If you place a 3rd, it will turn into the Inner Sanctum key. If you place it in the wrong socket, you will get a little trap effect and take a little bit of damage. But yeah, it's just those 3. Pretty easy. It's kind of where they hang out, I guess. And then we have the exit door and then this door, which we want to read the little story. I do not know what I have found here. This architecture is not familiar to me, yet it speaks to me, entices me. It wants me to explore it further. I have heard voices in a foreign tongue coming from the other doors. I have no interest in finding out whom they belong to. This door interests me though. It is blocked by some sort of mechanism. It may have something to do with these statuettes that I have found. Well, they were laying around the place, so I picked them up. I will try my luck with opening this door. They don't call me Beyond the Lucky for nothing. I think it's pretty lucky that he managed to find them lying around and didn't actually have to kill the beasts. That would be confusing for someone reading that and then thinking they could just find them. To avoid the traps, I am going to go into God mode for this part because it's just a bunch easier for me. You get a lot of building materials now from boxes in around, which is kind of nice too. After you've killed those 2 skeletons, now's a good time to do some inventory management, drop anything that you don't want to have on you, refresh any buffs if you happen to take a long while, etc. It all day out. Now, because I'm in God mode, these things aren't going to hurt me, but there are a lot of traps around. I tend to hit this one every time, just every time, except for that time, which I purposely hit it, so technically still every time. There are boxes hidden about that have things called rusted keys in them. You want to get those. These guys are all going to attack you. You can kill them or run around. They're pretty easy to avoid without killing them. These traps will do various things from gas to fire. I'm just going to admin kill them because, but like you see, not too hard to kill all of them, but I want to see what their loots give us. The boxes are not too hard to find. Some of them don't have keys in them, but there are 5 keys to be found. You only need 4. They do have a timer on them, so they will decay unless put in a fridge after an hour, depending on your server settings, but that's official settings and usually single player settings. Then some of them kind of have a bit of a trick to get up to the areas. Like this, you have to trigger the trap, get the boxes, jump back down, try and not die. Double jump does help with that. The skeletons tend to drop way more esoteric related things now, which is more appropriate. And again, in here, I'm just going to trigger every single trap. Feel free to avoid them. There's another little boing trap to get us up to the other level. Boop, boop. You want to hit it from the correct direction. That helps immensely, I've heard. Never gonna have to craft dye again, which is nice because the dyer's table's stupid. You can avoid all of this by just going around the side here pretty easily unless you bounce back into it. And this one, you just walk straight down the middle. Kill these guys if you want or run around. And we, again, have a much better chance of getting the legendary weapons unless they do happen to change that on official release. I doubt it. Go up the stairs, find a bit more treasure. Actually, there's some boxes over here. So many treasures. Now I'm over encumbered. You can either drop some trash or whatever you don't want, or eat some potions. Oh, we found another treasure. Gonna get a bunch of treasures for our treasure room. Then on the other side, we also have a similar setup. Oh, no, the skeleton dude's not there. Oh, there he is. If you don't like farming, this is perfect for you running dungeons now because you just get everything, and everything you don't want, you put in a dismantling bench and get the raw resources back. You can just find things instead of farming. Now, once you've got everything that you want, you don't have to kill this guy, but he does also give you the key to the arena, which allows you to access a door down here. But you can avoid that door and avoid the arena champion altogether. If you've seen my unupdated guide on this dungeon, which has probably led you to this guide, you'd know all about that, but I'll show you just in case. Oop, avoid the traps. Straight ahead is the door that you need the key to for the arena, but you can pop through this little crack right here by crouching usually. And then avoid the whole world of the arena champion, which is super beneficial if you've already run the dungeon. If you haven't and you do want the recipe, it's pretty easy to just skirt around right behind her because she's still not worth killing and she's still a bitch. Just scoot around. She usually won't aggro even when you're not in god mode. A couple of these dudes, again, just avoid them. They do drop stuff on occasion, I think, or maybe it's just the ones in the unnamed city that do. Loot your box, touch your tablet, run back past her. I'm going to admin kill her just to see how worthless she is. She did happen to drop some champion pants, which makes her mildly more worth it. The fact that she could potentially drop the armor she's wearing. Sure, if you could be bothered, go ahead. I'll do a separate little guide on just me fighting her to show you how hard it is. But any of those loot boxes that you touch can have armor scraps in them. The reason why we wanted to bring our pick here is because this is not decorative black ice. It is in fact black ice. So you can harvest all of that and get a lot without freezing your tits off. All of this. Put them on your champion pants. That'll help cure my corruption, because they have a cleansing effect over time. Not ideal if you want to be corrupt and use Mescal or something and you're not rocking an actual corrupted build. You kill these guys. They're kind of meh. You can also run past them. Most of these are just gold and silver boxes in these little rooms until we get to a room a bit further down. Most of the time, all these guys will take each other out as well if you do just want to harvest them and you are cheesing stuff. This dungeon is incredibly cheesable if you haven't gathered that by now. Get all your Ikari bits, etc. I thought there was a box in this one. Then we have a bone dragon fighting some one skull turtles who'll do a little bit of damage to him. You can get demon blood and run flesh usually off these guys. He's a bag of dicks. Don't get hit by his flame attack. It's not great. In his inventory, you will find the key that this guy provides. You can hack him up, get some decent things. Then over here, you'll find his box, which will have whatever random weapon it'll have in it. Reaver's axe is pretty decent, does some armor pen. Bunch of treasure for your hoard. You can get some fur and elephant skin off these guys. If you just want to run around behind them, there's a bunch of loot boxes in here. Again, some of them more useful than others, but I've basically got a whole base right now, and I can make all of the shields in the universe. Don't know why so many shields, but cool. Something else kind of cool that they've changed, which is the biggest reason you want to bring a pick, is there used to be a wall here where you could see a black eddy behind it, which couldn't do anything about. Even in admin mode, ghosting through, couldn't do anything about it. Now you might think, oh, I need to hit it. Does nothing. Might need to blow it up. Does nothing. Get a pick. Does things. And now we have access to this guy. He's pretty easy. Is Yeti Has a bit of health, but because he's an animal, he has no armor, and his hits aren't too bad. Hacking him up will provide you with a key. And you will notice in here, these are just loot boxes, not key boxes. Which is nice because it does provide an extra key for the dungeon if you haven't happened to bring one. You may think, oh, I got chipped, no loot box. But keep going. In through this door to the final boss, the Iron King Warmaker himself. He's not too hard. Something with Sunder does benefit because he is wearing a lot of armor and he does have a bunch of health, so it takes a bit of time without. He poisons and he bleeds and all of the good things because he is technically a people, but I don't think you can gas him because that's a gas mask. So if you gas bosses, that probably won't work. Not 100. Tell me in the comments if it does or not. Just for shits and gigs, I'm going to admin kill him to save some time. The amount of stuff he's dropped has been incredibly buffed. Last time I got like 28. And you're going to get a likelihood of getting his weapons now. The Carnage or the Destroyer Warhammer, which is the one that he uses. This will give you instant half corruption when wielded. So a quick way to get corrupted, but keep that in mind. Don't just try it out while you're in here unless you don't want a whole bunch of corruption. Although if you're wearing the champion pants, maybe you'll be okay. I'm assuming he might have a chance of dropping the actual Godbreaker armor, but maybe he just drops all of the scraps so you can craft them. Now you're going to notice a bunch of doors around the place. There's the door we came in, I think is that one. And then all of these ones around. So what I like to do is start off in one corner. They haven't gotten any buffs to the rooms. It's still the same, just one treasure chest essentially with a bit of a buff to what's in the treasure chest, but the scraps themselves are still kind of the same, still a bit meh. 1D away around next room. It will consume a key. Then when we get here, you'll notice we have a butt ton of legendary key boxes. So there is in fact, I think 7 technically legendary key boxes in here, but you do get provided 1 free key. Well, you do technically get 2 free keys, but there's 7 boxes. Yeah, you open them all up, get whatever legendaries you want out of them, touch these recipes. They are one of the biggest reasons why we are coming to do the dungeon. Also, they're going to enable you to add extra buffs to your weapons, like the Grandmaster weapon kit will do damage and armor pen, although 1 point less. So it's technically a little bit less damage and armor pen than if you were to put the dedicated kits on them, but it does both. And you also get a various amount of other different kits that you can apply, as well as some armor kits, which will do a bunch of good armor things to your armor. You no longer have to be level 60 to learn them, which is nice because I sometimes come at your lower level to level up from the black ice and from all the skeletons and things. It's not too hard, even lower level. You happen to get a nice weapon drop and or buy one from Mechamosis' Spire, you're pretty sorted. And sometimes I would get here and I wouldn't be level 60. I wouldn't be able to learn the last recipe, which would be kind of annoying, but now you can. You may not be able to craft them though. You can learn them. And then we still got another 2 doors. Get all your armor scraps because Godbreaker armor is really nice. The pants do stamina regen. The hat is a gas helmet. The shirt does extra armor and I think also heals you quicker from memory. Maybe that's the gloves. And the boots do extra encumbrance and they used to also heal your weapons and things, but I think they may do that with regular stuff, just not legendaries anymore. Weapons and things, weapons and tools, if they're held in your hand while you're being hit. For some reason, some boxes don't let you F them. Totally rude. Now you've gotten all your boxes, you head to the door with the tablets to make your way out again, avoiding all the traps, of course. There's a couple more boxes along the way here that you can loot. So many radium gems, which is crazy because if people make all the radium torches, like it's quite laggy. It's almost like they didn't think. Like, why do I need this many lance cores and shield things? I can't dismantle them, I'll be sad. Just up here, don't jump off the very end just yet. What you want to do is make a little dip round, find all these little hidden boxes. Nice little acquisition. Jump off, avoid the traps. And you can do your rounds of the Giant Kings again if you like to get your desired weapon, as they drop something every time, but it will be random to what it is, so you might not get the one you want. But usually they have respawned by the time you've finished doing the dungeon. It does take around about, if you're just running through, probably 15 minutes, a little less. If you're fighting a few things along the way, about 15 minutes. If you are fighting everything, it can be anywhere from like half an hour to an hour, really does depend how slow you take things, how quickly you rush things. But you can certainly fight these guys again because they're about 15 minutes, half an hour, most respawns. If not, just make your way back out, run past everything, kill him again if you want, get another chance at the awesome axe. Not this time. And some of these boxes may have respawned, which is worth checking because you can get extra armor scraps from them, like I mentioned. And head back out the door. Alternatively, you can hide yourself somewhere and summon body if you happen to have sorcery leveled up, which is kind of convenient. Most PvP servers tend to have map rooms just here, so you can map room back to your convenient obelisk or to your home, whatever. It's a pretty easy dungeon. I'd say it's maybe like 4 or 5 out of 10, depending on your skill level. Can be a little bit more challenging. Armor's fairly easy to get now. Like this is just random spawned in stuff, and an executioner's hat, which you can get from the executioner. I do have a little separate guard on him. So this is like pretty easy to get from the relic hunters that are around. Places like the Dregs dungeon have a lot of relic hunters in them now, all around the unnamed city. And the One Skull dudes in the Kari dungeon, they'll drop potentially Silent Legion. So it's quite easy to get armored up enough to be able to run this if you're not confident enough to just run through and do it naked. But you can. You don't even have to really fight anyone or the end dude if you happen to already have a key. So you just touch the recipes if that's all you want and leave. But it is worth getting all of those extra goodies now. And I like what they've attempted to do, but I really don't know why I need to have so many shield things and sturdy bow things, and some, like, I would have had so many of those if I didn't already drop some. Like all of the repair kits, never have to make a repair kit again. I essentially don't ever really have to farm again. So that's, it's interesting. I'm definitely getting higher end golem drops from those boxes, which is nice. Not getting a whole bunch of stone golems from a dungeon. That has definitely been kind of cool. And some of the legendary key boxes in dungeons also offer extra goodies in them, as well as legendary keys. But you'll see those in those updated guides. Do you like these updates? Is it something that interests you, or do you think like it was a wasted time and this game should burn? Let me know in the comments. Pretty sure what all of the comments will be. If you found this information informative, smash that like button. If you're not already, consider subscribing. It means a bunch. And until next time, I hope you have an excellent day, evening, night, morning, whatever it may be, wherever you may be. Have a good one.